All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to talk more about the Chargers. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, they both restructured their contracts. So Joey Bosa's salary was reduced from $22 million to $15 million, with salary fully guaranteed and the possibility to earn an additional $4 million through sack incentives. And then Khalil Mack's salary was reduced from $23.25 million to $19 million. Additionally, he cannot be franchise tagged in 2025. Bosa's contract adjustments include a changed roster bonus from $7 million to $12.36 million on the first day of the 2025 league year. Bosa's future was uncertain due to playing in only 14 games over the past two seasons, generating 9 sacks and counting $36.6 million against the salary cap. Despite potential savings of $14 million by cutting or trading Bosa, the Chargers opted to retain him, spreading out the financial implications. Khalil Mack had a team-high $38.5 million cap hit, but remains with the team after restructuring. He had 17 sacks in 2023, which was actually a career high. So, Khalil Mack's getting older, but still productive. And, the Chargers got to keep some of their players, right? I mean, they're really going to get rid of everybody. I mean, on offense they did. So they're able to keep both of them, which I think is big. Defense was their weakness last year. Also they dealt with injuries. But, we'll see how they bounce back. I mean, now it's a new regime with Jim Harbaugh. I'm curious to see, what the Chargers look like. I mean, because, again, you get rid of Keenan Allen. You get rid of Mike Williams. Who's Justin Herbert throwing to? And we have Wilner in the chat saying, woohoo, we're locked in. Yeah, we're locked in. And he actually is somebody that I did talk about this. Who is, last night, because I was with him, who are the Chargers going to be throwing to? I mean, you got Quentin Johnston, who had a down rookie season. He had a drop problem. Then you have Joshua Palmer. He's going to have to step up into a bigger role. Like I said, I think I did say they signed Will Dissly, right? Maybe I didn't, but I know I definitely said Gus Edwards in the previous segment. So they bring him in. So they're also going to be, you figure, going to be bringing in another running back because they let go of Eckler. He's with the Commanders now. The Chargers are going to look different next year. And obviously Justin Herbert, coming off of the thumb injury. We'll see what ends up happening, but they had to make a lot of major decisions. But again, I think still the shocker for me is them trading Keenan Allen. I figured he would still remain, but I guess the Chargers, they're going to address a lot of these needs in the draft, which is they're kind of going to have to because again their cap situation. They've had to make tough decisions, but I think at least, bringing back Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, you got to keep some players, right? So, and the other thing too is, you got to get yourselves back on track to compete with the Chiefs. I like what the Raiders have done. We'll see what they end up doing at quarterback. I know they brought in Gardner Minshew. You still have Aiden O'Connell, but you figure, unless they're going to trade for Fields, which I don't think is going to happen. They're probably going to end up drafting a quarterback. There's that. And then you got the Broncos, too. What are they going to end up doing? Listen, you got Justin Herbert. And if Herbert's healthy next year, I think the Chargers, they're going to be a competitive team. But they might... I don't know. It depends. Let's see how the rest of the offseason goes. They could be a team that's, again, I look at the Chiefs as the favorites in the division, as most people do. So, yeah, you're going to be fighting for a wild card spot next year. Again, they had to make some tough decisions, and a lot of these players are getting older, dealing with injuries, so, they're trying to get younger at the same time. And that's why they let a lot of the star players on offense go. So I mean, Mike Williams, he's out there now. I mean, I'm curious to see where he could potentially end up. A big wide receiver. I know I said yesterday, I was like, oh, maybe you should go to the Chiefs. Why not? Stay in the division. They need wide receivers. I mean, they went and signed Marquise Brown. Why don't you go out and you sign Mike Williams? Yeah, so I'm curious to see where he eventually ends up. But yeah, and actually, so I wanted to take a look at Joey Bosa's stats and Khalil Mack's stats from the past couple of seasons. So, like I said, Joey Bosa, he got hurt last year. 6.5 sacks in 2023, only 2.5 sacks in 2022. So yeah, the sack numbers were down, and he actually. Oh wait, no, hold on. Okay, yeah, I was looking at the 2016 and 2017, but yeah, 2022 he only played in 5 games. All right, so Wilner says Mike Williams and Hollywood Brown would be ridiculous with the Chiefs. So Wilner's actually a Ravens fan. So when I did break the news to him last night that the Chiefs got Hollywood Brown, he was not happy. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs could get him for cheap, right? I mean, I feel like the Chiefs should do it. Why not? But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so back to Joey Bosa's stats. So 6.5 sacks in 2023. He only played in 9 games. Then he played in 5 games the year before that. 2021 played in 16 games, had 10.5 sacks. The year before that, 7.5, 11.5 in 2019. His career high in a single season was 12.5. That was back in 2017. Wow, he's been around for a while. I didn't realize. Wow, But yeah, he has 67 career sacks in total. But yeah, and I know there was some not really rumors, but there's always like, hey, maybe he can always go to San Francisco and pair up with his brother. But yeah, I mean the Chargers are keeping him around, so and then let's look at Khalil Mack. So like I said, Khalil Mack had 17 sacks, and a lot of them came against Aiden O'Connell, because he had like 6 in that one game against the Raiders in LA. But yeah, Khalil Mack is 33. So yeah, he's getting older. But listen, still producing. 2022, he had 8 sacks. Wow, 17. I mean, the most he had, he had 15 in 2015 with the Raiders. But yeah, I mean, 17 sacks. Again, Aiden O'Connell kind of helped him out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's still productive. So, and let's look at the amount of games he's played over the last couple of years. Yeah, he's played in every single game the last 2 years. He played in 7 in 2021. He played in 16 in 2020 and 2019. 14 in 2018. He missed some time. Played in every single game from 2014 and 2017. So for the most part, he's been healthy. So, I mean, again, getting older, but still being productive, getting after the quarterback. I mean, yeah, I think him and Joey Bosa, they did the right thing, trying to restructure their contract so they can stay. I guess because maybe they want to play for Harbaugh. Yeah, so I'm really curious to see how the Chargers approach the draft. I mean, again, I think they're definitely going to have to add a receiver, because right now the receiver core is kind of thin. So let's see. Did ESPN update the depth chart for the Chargers? Because again, right now you have Quinn Johnson, you have Joshua Palmer. So this is the depth chart from top to bottom. Justin Herbert, Gus Edwards. Then the backup for Gus Edwards is Isaiah Spiller. Then you got Joshua Palmer, Quinn Johnson, Darius Davis. Then tight end Will Dissly, Donald Parham Jr. And then you have the offensive line with Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Corey Linsley, Jamari Salyer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Trey Pimpkins, the third. So right now that's your offense. yeah, they are they're gonna need to address it in the draft. And we'll see. Maybe they sign somebody else. But yeah, so the wide receiver depth chart's kind of thin. So yeah, they're gonna have to figure that out. But I mean, again, they had to make a lot of tough decisions. Their cap space was not in the best situation. So you know, again, they're gonna have to really attack this draft, and I think they have a top 10 pick, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. Let me just look at the current draft order. So they're picking at, if it'll pop up here. I need to refresh my my memory here. Well, yeah, because they did only win 5 games. Yeah, they got a top 5 pick. Yeah, so I mean, you probably go with the receiver, I would imagine. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And then they have the 37th pick. Yeah, so you figure they are going to address it in the draft. So, because yeah, I don't think you can go into the season with Quinn Johnson and Joshua Palmer as your top 2 wide receivers. You got to add to that. And I think they're expecting Quinn Johnson to make a leap in year 2, because again, his rookie season was disappointing. Had some big drops and big moments. I mean, you go back to, I know one, for example, because I was watching it, was the Green Bay game. Herbert throws a ball down the sideline and, literally puts it right in his hands and he drops it. And the Chargers ended up losing that game. And Joshua Palmer's a decent receiver, but again, he's not a number 1. So, yeah, they got to figure it out, which, I think they will. You got Justin Herbert, who's really talented. And again, Harbaugh, he turns things around. You look what he did with the 49ers and obviously, of course, Michigan. I feel like he'll turn it around with the Chargers. And again, you got the quarterback in place. So now you just got to surround him with talent. But yeah, they had to make some tough decisions. But, at least on the defensive side of the ball, you keep Joey Bosa, you keep Khalil Mack. You hope those guys stay healthy for next year. You hope the defense improves. Because, again, the defense was pretty bad in 2023. But, again, they're going to have to address some stuff on offense through the draft, both running back and receiver. To surround Justin Herbert with some talent. So, with that being said, before we go into our next break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So when we come back from our second break of the show, we will discuss Kirk Cousins being introduced by the Falcons. We'll talk about his press conference. We'll also talk about some of the tampering that was involved in both, the signing of Kirk Cousins, the possible tampering, the alleged tampering, involving Kirk Cousins and Saquon Barkley. So we'll get into all that when we come back from our second break of the show. So with that being said, stick around and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.